morning. Good morning, y'all. I hope everybody is safe and warm on this icy, blistery, snowy Tuesday morning. Oh, how I wish I did not have to get out of the bed to brave the weather, but it must be done. I am like the pastors. I won't be before you long. But I had a word, an analogy that I've been thinking of that has been heavy on my spirit. So many of you know, well, many of you might not know. I don't know what y'all be knowing. But y'all, I went back to nursing. And I was a women's health nurse for 5 years almost. Been a nurse for 8 years. Now I'm in dermatology. And the interesting thing about dermatology is the things that I'm learning being a dermatology nurse. We didn't learn none of this stuff in nursing school. The skin is the largest organ on the body, and for some reason we think of it last. But in being in dermatology, we do a lot of biopsies, we do a lot of skin checks, we do a lot of skin cancer screenings, and a little known fact, actually, black people of color, typically get skin cancer in places where the sun doesn't shine. So like under the bottoms of your feet, in between your toes, the palms of your hands, things like that. Just thought I'd throw that in there. That one was free for y'all. I gotta keep my eyes on the road, so just listen. When we're doing biopsies and we're doing skin check screenings, a lot of times if there's something that does not look right or they can't determine what it is, without a biopsy, there's no way to determine if it's something that is harmful or not. So you have to biopsy it, which consists of numbing the skin with a needle, putting lidocaine in there, taking a small sample of the skin, sending it to pathology. And then if it does come back as something that is not a benign growth, which means non-cancerous, if it comes back as something that is cancerous, they have to go get a procedure, which is called either moles or an excision. Now, the interesting thing about an excision, follow me, stay with me, y'all. The interesting thing about an excision, that would go for numb it first. Before you do any of these procedures, you have to numb it first. So that consists of injecting it with a needle and putting in the numbing medication and then cutting out the area. But in order to cut out the area that is either cancerous or they can't determine if it's cancerous or not, you have to make sure that you have the margins. That means you have to make sure you get the root of it. You have to get the root of the growth. You have to get the root of the mole. You have to get the root of the cancer, or it will continue to grow. Because just like anything else, like with a plant or flower or anything like that, there's roots that are down at the base of whatever that growth is. And the only way to make sure that you get all of it is to get the root and get the margins. The margins means any of the areas surrounding the growth. Now, the funny thing about that is I was thinking about that in terms of healing. A lot of times we like to scrape the surface of situations. A lot of times we like to scrape the surface of issues, whether they be generational issues, family issues, personal issues, relationship issues, whatever the case may be. A lot of times we like to scrape the surface and then think that's good enough. But unless you get the root of that thing, it has the potential to A, not go away, or B, return. But in order to go through with any of the procedure, you have to go through with the numbing first. The hard part is the numbing. That's one of the hardest parts for our patients, is telling them that the numbing hurts. When you put the needle in, the medication burns as it goes in, but it goes numb really quick. That happens with healing work. In order to begin to do any excision, to get to the root of something, you have to go through the numbing process first. And that means that it's sometimes painful. In our healing journeys, We can't scrape the surface. We can't go through the process without making sure we get to the root of the thing. So that means that you can't just tiptoe around the actual issues. If there is something that is going on and it's been going on for years and years and years, if there is family issues, if there are relationship issues, trust me, I know all about family issues. I have plenty of them. You have to get to the root of it. And that's one thing that I had to learn within the last year with everything that I experienced. I had to do some deep healing work because what was going on emotionally in my body began to manifest itself physically, and I became sick. And the only way that they were able to ensure that I was going to get better was if they got the root of the problem, which was the mass that was on my colon. See, y'all got to understand what I'm telling you is you can't scrape the surface with this healing work. You can't scrape the surface with the issues that you have, with the dysfunction, with the trauma, with the toxicity, with the patterns, with the behaviors, with whatever it is that you're going through. You cannot continue to walk around with a victim mentality blaming everybody else for what is going on within you. You have to get to the root. And sometimes in order to get to the root, it's got to hurt first. But if you can endure the pain, of the numbing, if you can endure the pain of the plucking, if you can endure the pain of the excision, the result is healing. Sometimes healing hurts first. Sometimes plucking up the root of an issue, plucking up the root of a situation brings up a lot of pain, a lot of other stuff that you maybe didn't know was there, but you have to go through all of that ugly stuff to be able to get to the root of it. Healing hurts first. I can't find anybody that I know that is really doing the work to go through and figure out why they do the things they do, to figure out what their triggers are, to figure out what their offenses are, to figure out what their trauma is, whatever it is that may be causing them to operate in the way that they are operating in, anything that is opposite of what it is they wish to have in their life. Sometimes people just don't know. Sometimes people don't know there's resources available. Sometimes people just don't want to do the work. But I encourage you to continue doing the work, because sometimes things have to come to a head, and in order for them to come to a head, you have to manipulate the situation. Don't look at the situation being manipulated as a bad thing, and don't run away from it, because it's not going to change anything if you never get to the root. You have to get to the root of it. Even when you're doing gardening and plucking weeds and all of that stuff, I don't garden. I don't do any of that outdoor stuff, but the same goes for with an excision. In order to determine for sure that you got all of that root, all of that weed, you have to get the root. Whatever that issue is that you've been going through, whatever it is, that situation that you keep reliving over and over in your life, in your family, in your home, whatever it is that you cannot shake off of you, that has been binding you for so long, whatever it is that you cannot get off of you, that has been keeping you imprisoned in your own situation for so long, I encourage you to do the work today to get to the root. You ain't gonna get to the root today, but you have to start doing the work. Don't shy away from it because it hurts. Don't shy away from it because it's ugly. Don't shy away from it because it's nasty. Because the only way that you are going to be able to fully heal is if you get to the root. You got to get the root. And sometimes it hurts first. And just because it hurts, that doesn't mean that it's time to walk away. Because it hurts, it means that's time for you to push a little bit harder, because guess what? You was hurting anyway. If you're hurting anyway, you might as well hurt as you're trying to heal. You got to get the root. You got to get the root. You got to get the root. It's time out for playing. It's time out for little cutesy little memes and jokes and all of that other stuff. There is real situations happening, even within the weather. Look at the weather. Look at the things that are going on. Look at what's going on with the electricity. Look at what's going on with these ice storms. Look at what's going on with all these warm places getting snow and ice and all of this stuff. No, that's not abnormal. But trust and believe there is something going on spiritually behind the scenes. And you want to make sure you're right. You want to make sure your heart is right. You want to make sure the root of you is right, because you cannot have an ugly root and bear beautiful fruit. And just because sometimes some of the things that you have been carrying don't belong to you, and some of the things that you have been carrying have been done to you, it is still your job and your responsibility to get the root. It's your job and your responsibility to do the work, to do the healing. You cannot carry everybody's problems anymore. You cannot carry that victim mentality. Oh, you did this to me. You don't love me. You don't do this. You did this. You hurt me. Yes, they may have hurt you. Yes, they may have messed you over. Yes, they may have done you wrong, but it's your job to do the work so that you can heal, so that you can stop bleeding on other people that didn't do anything to you. You have to get the root. This is one of the hardest lessons that I had to learn. I had to learn this. I thought I was great. I thought I was cool, and I realized God had to break me all the way down to nothing. Emotionally, physically, spiritually, and mentally, for me to realize that I was the problem. And it wasn't because I chose to be. It was because of some things that have been done to me, some things that have been said to me, some things that have been, some ways that I have been treated. But guess what? I ended up sick. I ended up miserable and depressed. I ended up bound, and I had to do the work to get free. That's why when you see me now, I'm unapologetic. I don't care what nobody got to say about me. I did the work. I'm doing the work. And I don't care how you feel about me. You don't know what I went through when I was in my closet. You don't know what I went through when I was in the pit. You don't know what demons that I had to face that were mine. So I can come before you boldly and free and say, you got to do the work. The glow that you see is because I've healed. I'm healing. I'm not holding on to shit that doesn't belong to me anymore, because I had to get to the root. And guess what? The root of it was ugly. And the root of it didn't help the situation of me being sad and angry and depressed and bitter. The root of it was ugly and painful. And the realizations that I had to come to from some things from before I was born, some things when I was a child, I had to get the root. You gotta get the root. You got to get the root and all the margins. That means you got to get to the root and everything surrounding the root that may be causing any infection, any cancer, any type of anything. You got to get the root. You got to get the root. It's a daily process, y'all. Every day. And I can say that I'm healing and I've healed, but guess what? I'm healing every day. This is a continuous process. There is no one size fits all. There is no, oh, I did this work and now I'm done, because guess what? As you continue to elevate in life, you're going to come up against different obstacles. You're going to be exposed to different levels. You're going to be exposed to different revelations and secrets of God. You're going to be exposed to different spiritual things and places. And guess what? The enemy doesn't stop just because you left that level. The enemy's going to come harder, and you're going to have to heal from more stuff. You're going to have to heal all the time. I get triggered. And sometimes I'm not healed enough to just say, I'm above this. No, sometimes I jump out my body and say, oh, you got me messed up. And then I can say, but I'm above this. That's progress. But I'm still healing. I am healed. I am whole, but I am never done healing. You are healed. You are whole, but you are never done healing. You will never, ever, ever, ever be done healing. Not as long as we live in the world that we live in. It's your responsibility to do the work. Do the work so that you can stop bleeding on people that didn't cut you. Victim mentality season is over. There's too much information. There's too many resources. There's too many people out here for you to continue to walk around bound, for you to continue to walk around a victim, for you to continue walking around blaming everybody else for you being who you are and doing the things that you do. There's no excuses for it at this point. Everywhere you turn, there's self-help, there's resources, there's memes, there's people, there's coaches, and there's all sorts of, there's a plethora of opportunities to heal and grow and evolve. There is no excuse. You are the only thing stopping you. You got to get the root. That's it. That's all. That's all I got. That has been like in my spirit for a few days. I don't know who that message was for. And it might not be for anybody. It might be for somebody that I don't even know. But whoever it's for, I'm praying for you. I love you. I believe in you. Oh, we got some questions. How do you know when you get to the root? Sometimes I think I've gotten it, but how do you really know? You know you've gotten to the root when it doesn't hurt anymore. You know that you've gotten to the root when you're not offended anymore, when you're not triggered anymore. You know that you've gotten to the root where you can talk about that thing or situation and not be enraged or not be, just wanting revenge or not. You know when you've gotten to the root when it doesn't hurt. And even if it does hurt, when you don't allow it to consume you. Good morning, y'all. Who I got here? What's up? Debbie Cakes? What up, baby? What's up, Demetria? Hey, beautiful. All right. She talking good. I hear somebody. I spoke to somebody's situation. Well, amen. Because I sure was trying to jam to my little tunes this morning and do my meditation in the car and my affirmations. And God was like, "You remember that word I gave you the other day? You gonna just hold on to it, or you gonna do what I told you to do with it?" Quit playing with me. So I had to do it. Yes, Demetria, healing isn't a destination, it's a continual process. We're never done. Good morning, Sierra. Good morning, Emily. Yes, it's time to change the reflection in the mirror. Change your story. If you don't like the story, change it. When you're watching something on TV and you don't like it, you change the channel. Do that with your life. Change the channel. You have the power. You got the remote. Makes sense, love. I love you too, Emily. My M's. Good morning, Marion. I love you, Demetria. I love y'all. Y'all have a wonderful day. Be careful out here. The roads are awful. It's very icy. Stay warm. Don't leave if you don't have to. Call and check on somebody today. Check on somebody's heart today. But most importantly, do the work. Check your heart today. Check your heart and release and let go of anything that does not resonate with what it is that you wish to manifest. Peace.